You have to work with the hand that is given to you, and I'm glad that it's a great one. Hi, I'm Tom, and this is Hand of Fate. About 2 years ago I saw streamers and YouTubers play it relentlessly for about a week, until it was phased out into the dark pits of unplayed games on Steam. Never to be seen again. That was until 3 days ago, when it was recommended to me. So I bought it, played it, loved it, and now we're here to review it. Let's dive in. Hand of Fate is what I call a poor man's Dungeons & Dragons, although that would not do it remotely enough justice, seeing that this game represents the story in both written text and actual gameplay. So how does it work? Well, first you pick one of 12 bosses to face off against at the end, each with different modifiers to spice up the game, both positive and negative. Then you craft a deck of equipment, encounters and, if you feel like it, additional difficulty modifiers. You can do this yourself, or let the computer put in random selection of the cards you've already unlocked, which was my preference because it preserved the element of surprise better. But, and there is a but, the dealer or magician, okay, let me be quite honest here, I don't really know what he is, they never actually tell you. I do know, however, that he's amazingly voice acted with smart little comments on your purchases in the stores and your choices in the game.
Open the chest, see what it contains. I'm curious. Don't you find it interesting to consider that you're sitting at my table to play our game, recalling sitting at a table, playing another game? Circles and cycles without end.
But back to my point. He puts in bad encounters himself, so the chances of something going wrong are always slightly increased. Then you start going down the path, reading the tales of your adventures and making choices along the way that can impact you both positive or negative. Sometimes with in-game combat and sometimes with a show mini-game with cards in which you need to pick correctly to not face RNG-based consequences, like taking damage or losing gold. The combat in and of itself is not really anything too special, but it is good enough not to feel annoying and can be a serious challenge when you reach the later levels. The opponents are varied, although all of them have pretty much identical attacks, which you can just counter or evade by rolling away. The choice-based encounters though are something else, because often you will find yourself checking your gold, food and equipment to make accurate judgment calls to either take a gamble and hopefully come out better at the end, or to just walk away gaining and losing nothing. Sometimes when you run low on food or gold, you feel forced to take a gamble, and the feeling what you get when it pays off is always worth it, but could also cost you your life when done incorrectly. There was only one thing in Hand of Fate which I really did not like. When the choice-based encounters occurred, you see the cards floating over each other, which only gives you the ability to track the top card, but not the three beneath it. This makes it more of an RNG-based system than an actual skill-based system, and that is never a good thing. If there was a distinction so you could notice which card was where, it would give the player more incentive to pay attention to the game, instead of praying to RNGs for a good outcome. And there were a few frame drops and stutters throughout my playthrough. Not severe enough to become a real problem, but annoying enough for me to mention it to you. Hand of Fate was just as much fun as I hoped it would be. The mechanics are all wonderfully flashed out and there's a huge number of cards to stick your teeth into. And it was just a really enjoyable experience. The RNG could use a little bit of work, but nevertheless it proves once again that not all indies are unfinished cash grabs and that there's some actual fun to be had with smaller titles. I can't wait for the second game, which is going to release sometime this year. But until then, I'll tell you that Hand of Fate is worth the money.